Tick, 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 the sound of the morning. You roll out of bed. You pull on a robe. You walk to the kitchen, a familiar path worn into the floorboards. You reach for the coffee. It's a ritual, a comfort, a necessity. You think this decision is yours. You think you chose this brand. You think you chose this blend. You think you chose this moment. You are mistaken. This daily act, this simple pleasure, is the final scene in a much larger, more complex drama. A drama scripted in boardrooms, traded on exchanges, and built on a global system of power and money that you were never meant to see. First, you have to understand the players. This isn't a crowded field of scrappy entrepreneurs. It's a kingdom ruled by a few quiet giants. At the very top sits JAB Holding Company. You may not know the name. You are meant not to. JAB is a private European investment firm that has spent the last decade on an unprecedented buying spree. Peet's Coffee, Caribou Coffee, Stumptown, Intelligentsia, Keurig Dr. Pepper, grocery shelves and city cafes lined with brands, still a ghost to consumers. Then there is Nestlé, the Swiss behemoth. Everyone knows Nestlé, but they don't know the scale of its dominion. Nescafé, Nespresso, Starbucks branded grocery rights, $7 billion. One company controlling brands that appear to compete. This is not an accident. Market consolidation, a deliberate strategy to absorb competitors and dominate shelf space, leaving you with the illusion of choice. When a few firms control the market, they gain immense power, dictate prices to farmers, negotiate exclusive, unbreakable retailer contracts, spend hundreds of millions on advertising to drown out independence. A vibrant market facade masking a centralized oligarchy. You think you're choosing between hip artisanal and a reliable classic. In reality, you're choosing divisions of the same empire. This consolidation creates a feedback loop. More market share, more profit, money to acquire the next competitor. A slow, methodical conquest, acquisition checks and shareholder meetings, cheap and instant, premium and single origin, pod, drip. Your money ends up in a very small number of pockets. The game is rigged from the start. The control doesn't stop at ownership. It extends into the very air you breathe. When you walk into a modern coffee shop, you're not just entering a store, you're stepping onto a stage. Every element has been meticulously designed by a team of experts in what they call retail engineering, the science of influencing behavior. It is a sophisticated application of psychology, neuroscience and design aimed at one thing: making you spend more money more often. You are not a customer. You are a subject in a continuous experiment. Consider the sensory inputs. The scent of roasted coffee beans is often artificially enhanced and pumped through the ventilation system, a trick pioneered by casinos to keep gamblers alert. Lighting is intentionally warm, set to a color temperature that flatters. The music is not random. It's a carefully curated tempo that encourages lingering without agitation. The path from door to counter is deliberately indirect, forcing you past high-margin items, pastries, branded mugs, expensive bags of whole beans. The menu board is a masterpiece of psychological pricing. Prices end in 25. The most profitable items live in the upper right. Words like velvety, handcrafted, single origin justify a premium. It's on the grocery aisle, where eye level is sold to the highest bidder. It's in packaging, where colors and fonts are A/B tested to trigger emotion. You think you're choosing that croissant. The retail engineers planned for you to do that weeks ago. This is not a conspiracy theory whispered in dark corners. This is market consolidation, financial engineering, and the raw, unvarnished mechanics of modern capitalism. They have studied your habits, designed your environment, and manipulated the market to ensure that, no matter which brand you choose, profits flow in one direction: up. The system is elegant, nearly invisible, ruthlessly efficient. It has turned a simple agricultural product into a multi-billion-dollar empire built on debt, built on leverage, and built on sophisticated marketing. Every sip you take feeds this machine. Every dollar you spend reinforces its power. The clock is ticking, not just on your morning, but on a global supply chain stretched to its breaking point. It's time to look behind the curtain. It's time to understand who really owns your coffee. To truly understand the power structure, you have to leave the coffee shop and enter the world of high finance. Coffee is not just a crop, it is a globally traded commodity like oil and gold. Its price is determined on massive exchanges in New York and in London. Here, traders don't buy and sell bags of beans. They buy and sell coffee futures. A futures contract is a binding agreement to buy or sell a specific amount of coffee at a predetermined price on a specific date in the future, a way for a large roaster to lock in the cost months ahead. Originally, it provided stability, protecting farmers from crashes and companies from spikes. But where there is a market, there is speculation. Today, the vast majority of trading is done by hedge funds, investment banks, and algorithmic traders who will never touch a coffee bean. A rumor of drought can trigger aggressive buying, becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy that drives prices up on its own, introducing massive volatility. A farmer in Honduras lacks the models and data a trader in a Manhattan skyscraper has. He is flying blind while the financial giants dictate the weather. The price of a pound of coffee can swing wildly based on a rumor, a change in an algorithm, or a massive bet in Greenwich, Connecticut. This financialization creates a trap. Big corporations can hedge to insulate themselves. The small farmer cannot. He is left at the mercy of a global casino where the house, Wall Street, always wins. Now let's zoom out even further. Who owns the big coffee companies? Who owns the banks that trade the futures? The answer often leads to the same place. BlackRock, Vanguard. They are not just investors, they are top shareholders in many of the world's most powerful corporations. They manage trillions, mostly via passive index funds and ETFs. When you invest in a 401k or an S&P 500 fund, your money flows to them. They buy shares across the economy. Significant stakes at multiple links, from brands and banks to shippers and retailers, creating an unprecedented concentration of power. Their votes can sway board decisions, approve mergers, set executive compensation, not as micromanagers, but as maximizers of shareholder value. Pressure to cut costs, increase margins, deliver short-term profits, flows downhill, squeezing suppliers and depressing wages at the very bottom. This is the invisible hand of modern capitalism, not the benevolent force Adam Smith envisioned, but a concentrated power structure prioritizing financial returns. BlackRock and Vanguard don't have a coffee strategy. They have an investment strategy. A farmer becomes a variable in a complex equation for maximizing returns. Quiet, pervasive, and hard to trace. Let's bring this down to a concrete, shocking fact. You see Nespresso, you think of sleek European design and premium, boutique coffee. You see it as an aspirational brand, distinct from the instant Nescafé granules on the shelf. The shock is that they are one and the same. Nespresso is a brand owned and meticulously cultivated by Nestlé. The same company selling mass-market instant also sells the luxury pod experience. This isn't hypocrisy. It's brilliant strategy, the illusion of market segmentation to capture both luxury and value shoppers. It looks like competition, it feels like choice, but profits from a $1.50 pod and a 10-cent serving of instant both flow back to the same headquarters in Vevey, Switzerland. This lets them manage a portfolio, hedge their bets, and dominate more of the consumer landscape, neutralizing ethical consumption as a market force. Even heavily marketed sustainability programs can serve as a public relations shield if the broader model pushes down commodity prices. Brand-level analysis is not enough. You cannot understand coffee by comparing logos, you must follow the money, you must look at ownership. When rivals are siblings, the illusion shatters. You are left with a few dominant players running the show, owning both sides of the board. Shocking fact, Nespresso, Starbucks' biggest rival in single-serve coffee, is owned by Nestlé. It's not competition, it's coordinated market control. Nespresso'nun Nestlé'ye ait olduğu ve rekabetin aslında kontrollü olduğu vurgusu. Behind every number and every glossy campaign is a human being. At the very beginning is a coffee farmer. Imagine the mountains of Colombia. He wakes before the sun, works 10 to 12 hours on steep terrain, fights pests, fungus and unpredictable rain, then sells to a local middleman. For a $5 cup sold in New York, that farmer might receive 5 cents, 1% of the retail price. The other 99% is captured by millers, exporters, shippers, commodity traders, massive roasters, and retailers. Contrast that with the CEO of a coffee empire earning tens of millions in a single year. The disparity is not just large, it is cosmic. Shocking fact, the average coffee farmer in Colombia earns less than 2 cents for every $5 cup sold, while a JAB Holding CEO can take home 100 million. Your ethical choice fuels a financial chasm. Çiftçinin kazancı ile CEO'nun kazancı arasındaki uçurum. This isn't just a moral failing, it's a structural risk. Underpaid farmers can't reinvest, pay living wages or feed families. The supply chain becomes fragile. Youth leave, quality declines, land degrades. Meanwhile, control hardens proprietary pod ecosystems, exclusive shelf deals, logistics networks. A fortress with high walls and gatekeepers who benefit from keeping others out. They shape the narrative with certifications and charity. Some do good, but the halo can deflect criticism even as the core model persists. You are now standing on the other side of the curtain. You see the gears of the machine. You see the interlocking ownership. You see the psychological manipulation. You see the financial speculation. You see the human cost. The illusion of a simple, personal choice has been shattered. Your $5 cup of coffee is a vote. It is a small but tangible endorsement of a system, one that concentrates wealth, commodifies people, and engineers your consent. To feel helpless is natural, but it is not the only response. Awareness is the first step. You can no longer unsee the architecture of control. Start by asking questions. Who owns the brand you buy? Look past the name on the package. Trace it back to the parent company. Support local. Independent roasters using direct trade give more of your money a chance to reach the person who did the work. Look for transparency. Brands that disclose what they pay. Brew at home from whole beans. Use your voice. Ask big brands for transparency, demand farm gate disclosures, support fair trade advocates, support policies that push antitrust enforcement and protections for small farmers. This is not a story with a simple villain, it is a story about a system so large it forgets its human foundation. Real change won't come from one person switching brands, it will come from a collective shift in consciousness. The clock is ticking. Your next cup is your next choice. Make it count.